to episode 3 of the this Reading the Wheel of Time for the first time YouTube podcast with the Nerdy Negroes. Although this particular nerd, like me, I've read them many, many times. And I actually don't know if Adison identifies as a nerd. I'll have to ask him. But okay, anyway, as you know, Adison watched and loved season 1 of The Wheel of Time with his crew over on Everyday Negroes. You should already be subscribed to them. You should definitely have watched their reaction to the show. They were fantastic. And he decided he wanted to read the first book, at least, of the Wheel of Time series. So that's what this is. And this is episode 3. We are covering chapters 21 to 30. And as we've been doing, we are splitting between our 2 channels. So part 1 of this week is going to be on my channel here. Part 2 is going to be on the Everyday Negroes channel, which, as I said, you should already be subscribed to. So after you finish this episode, head over there to watch it. And I will also link the full playlist where you can watch all of the episodes in order in the description below. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us, and a special thank you to our patrons, both my patrons and patrons of the Everyday Negroes channel. Pick one. Basically, if you're a patron, you can go back and watch all of the recordings that we've done completely unedited, and also you can join us live when we record, which is fun. So consider that. And I guess without further ado, let's jump into it. This week, because this week I was in my mind, I told you I went back and started watching some of your reactions again because I wanted to refresh in my mind what you know and what you didn't know, what you picked up on and what you didn't pick up on. And while I was reading this week, I kept just in my mind thinking, what is Adison going to notice? What is Adison going to notice? So I'm excited because there's a couple of things in these chapters that I was like, oh, this is going to be a hook for him. He's going to love this. So I'm excited to know your thoughts here. We can't just jump into it, though. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, so I will say this week's reading was, dang, I don't want to put it above the other ones. It might be up there, though. Like, we've had 3 weeks so far, so I might have to go week 3, week 1, week 2, as far as my order of favorite readings.
Yeah.
If there's a measurement for that. But this one is a little bit different because normally I'll have it like it's fresh on my mind on a Tuesday night, and today we're recording on Thursday. So man, if I flunk out of today's quiz, man, I still love my people who came to me. You know how you prep for a quiz and then the teacher's like, "Hey guys, we're gonna postpone. We're gonna watch a movie today." Like, man, I just stayed up till midnight studying.
All right. Well, I guess let us just jump into it. The first chapter is chapter 21. Called Listen to the Wind. The icon is
perfect.
Moiraine's staff. Nynaeve wakes up by the river and tracks Lan and Moiraine to their campsite where she listens in as they talk. Lan wonders how so many Trollocs made it down from the borderlands without being seen. Moiraine senses Nynaeve, much to the surprise of Lan. Moiraine explains to Nynaeve that she could sense her because she can channel, which Nynaeve denies, but Moiraine gives proof after proof, first describing how she suddenly knew that Nynaeve was the wisdom, then describing what must have been Nynaeve's first channeling incident, and saying that Nynaeve must have healed either Egwene or Perrin. Nynaeve reluctantly admits that it's true. Moiraine explains that 3 out of 4 women who start channeling without training die, and describes the symptoms of channeling sickness. Then Nynaeve demands to know Moiraine's plans for finding the kids. Moiraine explains about the coin she gave, and Nynaeve realizes that the plans necessitate leaving some of the children to fend for themselves. And they head south.
Yeah, thoughts on this chapter is, I feel like the series did a really good job of showing how Nynaeve was very cautious and not trusting necessarily of Moiraine. And now as we read, getting to see her inner dialogue as she interacts with Moiraine, it further enforces the fact that it pretty much shows what we thought she felt while watching the series, coming from a TV series person. So the facts about the channeling, just how blunt Moiraine is with Nynaeve about the importance of making sure that women kind of stick together who have the power or are taught or mentored through it, as opposed to just having to deal with it on their own, was some pretty interesting information for that.
Yeah, Moiraine doesn't really give any preamble. She's just like, "Hi, Nynaeve, you can channel." Nice,
Yeah. Cut to the chase.
No.
Forget the icebreakers.
Exactly. I see Rapunzel in chat saying she loves this chapter. I love this chapter. This chapter is like, it's because it's my favorite character. It's like our first insight into her mind and her thinking. It's one of the things RJ is really good at, I think, in my opinion, is he gives a limited perspective, like it's called third person limited, where you're in Nynaeve's perspective. So you hear her, like, her angry thoughts, but he somehow lets us see a little bit outside as well, so you can see her insecurities in this as well. Like when she describes Moiraine the first time she sees her, her description of Moiraine is she was wearing the most beautiful, like more beautiful than any dress I'd ever seen. You can kind of feel Nynaeve being like, man, this woman, why does she, you know?
It's funny you said RJ. And like, you know, I'm new to the book thing, so I'm thinking Richard Jefferson, who's a basketball player. But, so I have to go Robert Jordan. So when you said it, Richard Jefferson's bald head popped in my head, but Robert Jordan, got it. We're clear on that now.
So I am not a sports person, so, you know, go sports. I'm assuming that's some sort of ball related thing. Basketball, football, baseball.
He's a basketball player now, sports analyst. So
Okay. Go sports. Anyway, I did want to discuss a little bit the channeling sickness. As not a quiz question, so I don't know if you have notes on this, but do you remember any of the symptoms of the channeling sickness?
Wasn't it a fever, and wasn't it also something that would like come, but it would go away rather quickly?
Yes,
So yeah,
the way she describes it, she says, your first reaction to touching to the source, usually like a week or 10 days later. I copied it here, so it says fever, chills. They come and go in a few hours, and there's also like headaches and numbness, exhilaration. You're taking foolish chances. You're acting giddy. It gets closer and closer to the time of channeling. So yeah.
That was interesting for sure, especially because I feel like although Nynaeve was reluctant to it, she had to trust Moiraine in that sense because it was such a fact, and she knew exactly, even without telling Moiraine, that this is something I went through, and she's still on that scale of, I'm really in this to try to make sure I can get Matt, Rand, Perrin, and Egwene back to Two Rivers.
Yeah.
But you know, all this other information, it was interesting. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I see Sean today in chat. That's just being a teenager. Yeah, teenagers dizzy, giddy, taking stupid risks. That's the sign.
Getting open in an hour.
Yeah. That's it. Anything else in this chapter? I mean, I'm also kind of hyped on the Nynaeve was able to track Lan again, like, and he does, you know.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. Anything else jump out at you on this one?
It's also just the fact that I believe it's also this chapter too is this when she discussed the fact that she was with was it Egwene? She healed somebody who was super sick as well. And the interesting part about that is this though, because remember Moiraine said Egwene was somebody who's going to be mentored as well. So I was wondering in that chapter, were they associating the fact that Nynaeve had the power and she was able to heal Egwene, or if Egwene was just going through the same phase and she got over it quickly too? So that was one of the, you get what I'm saying? Because it's like, could it have been one or the other, or is it fully attributed to Nynaeve healing her because she was getting familiar with her power? So that's what I was curious about that chapter.
Well, I can answer that for you if you want.
Okay, I'm listening. Okay. I'm ready.
Yeah, it was Nynaeve. Nynaeve healed her. Because you can't heal yourself. That's something they say in the show. And this was fair. Like,
that's right.
Egwene was quite young at this point. And the other reason that we know for sure it was Nynaeve healing her is that's the way that Moiraine says that Nynaeve was able to track Egwene. Like, she's able to track, but when
That's right.
Once she gets close,
you can track people that you've healed.
Yeah, that's another thing. I love that about Nynaeve, because Moiraine says usually your first channeling is something that you really desperately want in that moment, and it's usually like, you know, I really want this animal to come to me, whatever. Nynaeve, the thing that she wanted the most was to heal somebody that she loved. Like, it's just such a selfless goal. Like, she wasn't doing it to save her life or anything that she desperately wanted. It was this child I love, I want to heal. And I love that that's a revelation about who she is.
So in hindsight, what you're telling me is not to beat a dead horse, but she didn't really want to heal Rand's dad, huh? Is that what you're telling me? She didn't really want to heal Thing. Well, I'm still feeling some type of way about that. She didn't really want to heal him.
Well, she you know, I'm making me come to the defense of fictional characters. She doesn't know that she can do this. Like, she's not doing it on purpose. I gotta
stand up for the ferrymen and for the unhealed people, man. That's what I gotta stand up for.
She doesn't know that she's doing this, right? At this point, she doesn't know what she's doing. So
yeah, she only knows what she wants, right?
She only knows what she wants, yes. But that's horrible. No, she would have wanted it. Damn it, help me in the comments. Help me.
Justice for Tam. There we go, David. Justice for Tam.
Yes. Oh man. See him putting holes in my love. This is a shame. All right. So anything else from this chapter before we go on to the next?
No, I'm ready to go. This was also the chapter 2 where they had to decide that they were going after Ren and Matt or Egwene and Perrin too. So this one was a little bit interesting too, because in my head I was thinking, well, why don't y'all split? You know, why don't we kill two birds? Since there's a group, why don't we make the decision for some of us to go this way, some of us to go the other? Especially after Moiraine gave Nynaeve the whole spiel about, well, if Egwene isn't mentored through her thing, she could die. So it's like, okay, well, shouldn't one of us go out to go get her at least to see her do it? But
I never even thought about that. Just generally, I mean, I'm just, D&D, you don't split the party. Splitting the party is always dangerous.
Yeah, no, for sure. But
you do have like someone like Nynaeve who can track, and Moiraine can follow whichever one of them still has their coin, so you could do that.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's what
I never thought about that. I never thought about that. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's a whole other thing. You're right. Again, you're plucking holes in the plot. It's the other thing I did want to note. Did you notice, because a lot of people don't notice this, because they just hear Nynaeve's thoughts. And this is Robert Jordan's so good at this. Did you notice that Nynaeve was crying during this scene?
Actually, no. I think one of the major things I noticed in this scene is that, okay, we are going to see other people's views outside of Rand's moving forward. That was one of the, because we did briefly, we discussed this in the last time we recorded, but we did briefly see Perrin's a little bit last time, and then this time, and then we'll talk about this a little bit moving forward, but we actually got to see her. But I did not notice that. Yeah. No, hold on. No, there was one instance I think I did notice she was crying, but I didn't know it was throughout the entire course of it. I don't know if it's I thought it just might have been a few tears here or there.
Yeah, I don't know if it's through the entire scene, but I know that a lot of people read this scene and they're just like, my gosh, Nynaeve's so angry. And then you get to the end. And she's crying. Like that's Jordan's so good at that. Where it's just, you see her, the way she's trying to think of herself, and then you just get this little glimpse outside. It's like, no, man, she's hurt. Like she's hurt.
Yeah.
She has to leave some of her kids behind. Moiraine has just exposed something about her that she hates. Like this whole situation is just poking Nynaeve's wounds. Like it's just poke. This hurts. Okay, I'm gonna poke it again. This hurts. Okay, I'm gonna poke it again. Like it's just
And it's funny you say kids, because it's almost like her approach and her love and her guidance of them is that like a mother, or a stepmother, whatever the case may be. It's something of that nature. So that makes sense.
Yes. It's just gonna say Rapunzel here saying always pay attention to what Nynaeve is doing. The little lines, they give huge insight, because the way she thinks of herself and the way other people see her is it's interesting. Anyway, there's this man on Twitter, Todd Shoemaker, who is I think it's at Todd Draws is his handle or whatever. But he has been drawing little drawings from every chapter of the books. I think he's like partially through book 3 now. But I wanted to show you his drawing.
Every chapter?
Yep.
Okay.
Every chapter. So I thought
I've been putting in work.
Mm-hmm. They're adorable little pictures. So this is the chapter, the drawing that he did from this chapter. We got Lan, Moiraine.
I'm glad you showed me this picture, because I want to bring something up now.
Yeah.
First of all, shout out to Todd. Great work, by the way. This looks really good. It almost looks like the character is going to come to life, and I'm going to see him like, they got like those little type of voice. But excellent drawing. This scene right here reminded me, it made me go back to the scene. Ren was sneaking on Moiraine and Egwene. And then when I saw this dialogue, it's like, I know Moiraine knew that Ren was watching. As easily as she spotted out Nynaeve from the forest, it made me think that when Ren was sneaking and watching Moiraine and Egwene's little Aes Sedai mentor session, training session, that she knew that Ren was there. She just didn't choose to say it in that moment. Yeah. Okay. But dope work though. I really like that drawing.
Yeah. He's really, really good. Next chapter, A Path Chosen, and the icon is the leafless tree. Perrin makes his way along the river until he spots Bella's hoof print, and then he finds Egwene. Perrin tells her of his idea that they should head to Camelin instead of Whitebridge, because that's where the Fade will be looking for them, and Egwene agrees. I will show you Todd's drawing. Egwene with the big stick, and that's Bella behind her in her little fire. So
this is dope. Every chapter, man,
Every
that guy's
chapter.
putting in some work.
he really is. He really is.
This is one of those things where you didn't really let me know last time we recorded. I figured they were gonna be paired up though, because I know they were in the show. So when we got to seeing them together, I was like, okay, of course, you know. I figured that was going to happen. There's some things moving forward, you know, I'm not going to spoil anything as far as our discussion base. That's like, wow, okay. Didn't see that one coming.
Yeah.
But as far as them coming together and pairing, no pun intended, pairing together, not pairing together, it didn't surprise me. But it just makes me wonder about their relationship moving forward.
Right.
But yeah, no, I think they actually, and I thought about this as I was reading them kind of speak through things and talk through things and just see the dynamic, the dynamic of their relationship. I actually think out of all the four friends, they were the best people to go on this little journey together, because I think had Rand and her got bundled together, they probably would have killed each other before they made it to Tarfalan.
Probably.
So it, in a sense, it was like, I think it is a good little break from Rand and Egwene for this section. But whether this is an option, a segue for Perrin to slide in them DMs, I don't know. Yet to be determined. But but as for now, yeah, it was a good pair.
Yeah, her and Rand definitely needed a break. What I noticed this time around, I might have noticed this before, I don't know. But just like when Perrin realizes that it's Bella, like he sees the hoof print, and he's a blacksmith. He made that horseshoe. He knows who it is, right?
Yeah. He
feels safe. So he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna run in and get. Egwene doesn't know it's Perrin, so that's why she's got that big stick. It's funny. It just cracked me up suddenly this time around. Like, that's hilarious. He's like, oh, I'm safe, and she's like, oh, a Trollocs coming. In this chapter, we see Perrin sort of taking a leadership role. Like he's the one coming up with the idea.
Yeah, it was almost like you see him wanting to be a leader, but not knowing if he's doing the right thing. Because I forget if it's in this chapter or other chapter, he's always saying, well, what would Rand do this? Or, you know what I'm saying? He's always going back to what Rand would do in regards to dealing with Egwene or in situations like this. Or sometimes he even surprises himself when Egwene listens to some of the things that he says. Yep. So it's interesting seeing him in this leadership role, because he is one of the bigger guys in the group, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So I'm not gonna say he's a big softy, but you know, he has an interesting, a more humble approach to things.
Very much so.
Almost like one of the guys that I could see. He's like one of the guys you could see yourselves being friends with.
Yeah.
I always get nervous when I start to see books switch character perspectives.
Yeah, you mentioned that, yeah.
And the reason I say that is I feel like our main characters are going to get Anakin'd sometimes. I'll just put it like that. and it hurts, because I remember first watching Star Wars and I love Anakin. It's like, man, why did they do him like that? Man, you know, why did he have to have his story arc? And it's one of those things that it just lets you know. And then Walking Dead has kind of tainted me for my Will of Time. You know, I'll just say that from Will of Time. It's like, man, you can't get too attached to certain characters, because if the writer wants to do whatever with them and you kind of fell in love with them, then it is what it is. So in a sense, it almost feels like, okay, this is Rand's story. But then when you start to see other people's perspectives on things, it's like he could probably get written out or written to be the bad guy, or whatever case may be. It's one of those things that I'm always kind of curious or skeptical about.
Yeah, he could get Randigined, as you say.
Hold on. I don't like that. I don't like that,
you
man.
Don't like that?
Why we can't say Matakin or Parakin? Why we have to just go straight for Rand? Come on now, Jenny. You wrong for that.
It rhymes. It's just for the rhyme.
Oh, that's even worse. His name is the only one who matches with that too. Oh, it's bad now.
Yes. Anyway. All right. So you ready to go on to the next chapter? Now that I've hurt your your feelings. So the next chapter is one I think you probably liked a lot. It's called Wolf Brother. The icon is one you have not seen before. It is the wolf. So,
okay.
Perrin and Egwene head in what they hope is the direction of Caemlyn. When camping, Egwene reveals that she has been practicing lighting fires with the One Power, and Perrin asks her not to do that anymore. She refuses. They smell a cook fire and find a man with golden eyes named Elyas, who informs them that they are very, very much not on their way to Caemlyn. They are joined at the campfire by some wolves that Elyas calls friends. He explains that he can communicate somehow with the wolves, and it's not something that can be taught. You either can or you can't, and the wolves say that Perrin can do it.
Mm-hmm.
He asks Egwene and Perrin why they're here, and they tell him a story that they made up, but the wolves know that it's a lie. They can smell the Trollocs in Perrin's mind, so Perrin tells them the truth. Elyas is not very fond of Aes Sedai, because there were Aes Sedai in their story, since some of them once tried to gentle him, even though he can't channel. And then he offers to travel with Perrin and Egwene. Sorry, I didn't look at this one closely. Sorry, it's adorable.
Tired, man.
Yeah, their mouths over there.
I like it.
They are hungry. They are hungry.
So many thoughts about this chapter. This was one of those I told you so chapters for me.
I know.
But it was also another glimpse into Perrin too, because with him becoming a leader, y'all are out in the forest. One of my first impressions of, like, why are you just walking up and willingly accepting the food that this guy has? And you also have to make sure that you take care of Egwene as well. It seems like he's a very, along with his humble and more so like laid back, chill personality, there's a little bit of naiveness in it as well, which actually it'll come forward too in the conversation that they have around the campfire. But those are some of my first impressions. Is it like when I put myself in that situation, not that I would have got far given, you know, what the Wolf brothers had in store all around the camp. But I'm thinking like, I'm gonna just keep going. You can enjoy that rabbit by yourself, my brother.
They were very hungry, though. I mean, been a couple days and they hadn't eaten, but yeah. Sorry, Rapunzel. Free forest food. What could go wrong?
It's like I don't know. I've seen too many movies to where that's not. I'm gonna pass on by. The company of two is big. Company of three sometimes are a little crowded, unless it's a dog. If it's a dog involved, then company of threes are pretty decent. David Ness, hungry like a wolf. Yeah, that is true. But yeah, this was the I told you so chapter. This is the I told you so chapter. I'm just wanting to know how far it will go, because one, Elyas was such a welcoming guy. I'll say kind of baited them to come over there maybe, but it's like, how coincidental is this? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How does Perrin end up meeting this wolf pack? Was it coincidental, or was Elyas kind of somewhat tracking them from a far off? I don't know, but it was cool seeing this.
Well, I think he does say that he'd been following them for a few days. I have a suspicion Perrin finds food that first night fairly easily. Like these kids, I would be dead. Like, they have flints in their pockets. They got slings. Like, I would have died. I would have died. But Perrin gets food that first night. And then after that, they can't find any food. Like, that's why they're so hungry when Elyas shows up. I think Elyas was just, like, all the rabbits were gone because Elyas was eating them.
Elyas was rounding them up, so they had to go to him. Yeah. He was, okay, I see what he was doing.
That's my guess.
He was taking over all the resources, so they had to maneuver into him. Yeah. And even with their interaction with him, it's interesting how it goes from friendly to, all right, cut out all the lies or things can get serious.
Yeah.
It's funny how quick that switch is from rabbit to you can become what's next on the menu if we don't get things squared away. Even the wolf's introduction, I think the only seeming introduction we had with Perrin or something similar was when the wolf, I forget if it was a dream or if it was real, he came up and like licked one of Perrin's wounds. That was it.
Yeah, in the show.
When in regards to the series, that was it. It was actually, I was caught off guard a little bit because Egwene and Perrin's interactions were with the Tinkers or whatever their name was. So the whole time when I was watching the series, in the back of my head and I somewhat watching the show, I was like, are these people like animorphs? Do they transform into wolves when they want to become people? Yeah. So this whole interaction, I was wondering, is this the people, but in the book they were shown as wolves, but in the show they showed them as people? So I was curious. That's actually what I was thinking for the longest until we get a little bit further on in the reading.
I guess now is as good a time to talk about this as any, because I wanted to ask you what you thought about it, because the book is very, very clear with what's going on with Perrin, whereas the show, it's very ambiguous. Now, I have my theories on why that is, and actually watching your reactions made me think I was right. But why do you think they changed that?
I think because they still want you to kind of be unsure about who the dragon is. Yeah. Amongst the guys. Yeah. So if they clearly define him as the wolf, or they clearly define so-and-so as this, you will immediately X them out as being the dragon because you already think they have a different storyline going. So that's one of my small thoughts in regards to that. Yeah. That's like, but yeah, why do you think so?
Well, again, I thought so too. And then watching your reactions, which again, I rewatched a lot of them this past week, but you said that towards the end of the series. Like, I think by episode 7, you were like, well, it's not Perrin because he's got something going on with the wolves. And I think they were trying to hide it as much as possible to keep Perrin in the mix for as long as possible.
Mm-hmm. And if I have any, and for competitive merit, if I'll say, so y'all hear this first in the podcast. I didn't think he was Perrin from the jump. I just didn't want to be wrong in front of the guys and X him out too soon. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But between me and you and the listeners here, I never really thought it was Perrin. I thought he had something to do with, animals. I was waiting to see him halfway turn into a wolf anyway.
Yeah.
But I didn't want it to happen like at the end of the season. It's like, oh, Perrin's a dragon. And I'm sitting here just like, oh, why did I X him out? And Dre and Brandon be sitting over there grinning at me. It's like, yeah, nigga, you was wrong.
Yeah. So, okay. What do you think about that? Because as you're reading the book, you're seeing we do get a lot of Perrin insight in the book.
Yes.
And because of the fact that they were hiding this, we don't get to know Perrin as well in the show, which a lot of people, like that's, I'm sure you've heard there are some people who don't like the show. That's one of the complaints that people have is Perrin kind of got shoved to the side. What do you
he's like the third wheel a little bit. Well, personally, even from episode 1, I really liked Perrin, and it was because of the traumatic event that we seen him go through with his wife in there. So it always had me rooting for him in the series, if anything, just to like redeem himself from that situation.
Yeah.
Because it was like, I know he didn't have any ill intent in regards to it and things were so sporadic. It'll be different if he like just willingly did something mean and foolish. And it was like, okay, brother, well, we'll see what happens to you. But this is like, man, I'm really rooting for this guy. And in the book, it actually makes me become even more of a fan of his character because he's like so honest. Like even see his internal dialogue of not necessarily trying to be too machismo, but wanting to make sure he's the man that Egwene needs in this moment as they journey along is admirable, I would say.
Yeah.
But going into the interaction with Elyas, you even see him still trying to play team ball with Egwene as far as not telling the true story about where things go.
Yeah.
And he tried to do that, but when things flipped the switch, he was the first one to go ahead and kind of spill the beans.
Yeah. So, do you think that was the right choice? I mean, I guess, we know what happened.
Oh, yeah. I mean, once the wolves come out the forest and then clearly this guy is the ringleader.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm sorry. It's about to be story time for me. Let's sit down beside this campfire. Anything you want to know. You want to know my social security number, debit card number, all of that. We can get it all handled right now.
Exactly. What did you think? Like, you've seen a bit more with Elyas. Did you trust him right away or were you suspicious? What did you think about his
No. So I trust Elyas to do his best for the wolf pack. I'll just put it like that.
Okay.
And I can also trust him to do what he thinks will be best for Perrin, since again the chapter is titled Wolf Brother or things of that nature, and making sure he gets into that fold. I do not trust him in regards to Egwene because the story he told was he said he even had to kill a few warders, and the Aes Sedai didn't like that. And Egwene didn't really say that, and I don't even really know if he knows it yet, but that's seemingly what her pathway is. And I know in her mind, whether she did or did not say something, she's like, you know what I'm saying? Hit one of them cartoon goats.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yes, he did kill warders, but he does say that I said they were trying to gentle him, which wouldn't have worked because he can't channel, but like, as you said, that is what was the word you kept using? Emasculating? Like, that's a pretty brutal thing that they were trying to do.
Yeah.
And, just because they didn't
understand.
And then
even from knowing from the show, knowing from the show, once you kill a warder, like, that's a lifelong beef. Or if you kill an Aes Sedai, that's a lot, that's a tough one because, they are never going to forget that.
Yeah.
That type of bond that they have, whether it ends up killing them or whether their life mission is to go and get revenge on whoever did it.
Yeah.
So it's like being around this brother is a dangerous situation. So once he told that story to know Moiraine, it was like, I don't know if these two should ever be around each other, or he definitely shouldn't be around any red Aes Sedai for sure.
Absolutely. I'm just noting, I put this here in my notes because I love this little insight into to Egwene's character. So in the first section, the minute Egwene realizes that Aes Sedai don't braid their hair, she unbraids her hair. Here, Elyas is like, I talk to wolves, and one of Egwene's first questions, can I learn how to do it? can I learn how to do it?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
she can't. But there's also something happens in a future chapter. Like Egwene just wants to learn everything. Like everything she wants, she can
for
learn.
Sure.
She is a sponge.
For sure.
And we see it like
No,
early
for
on.
sure. She is a sponge.
Yeah.
She is a sponge. She like, you can tell like Two Rivers was too small for her.
Mm-hmm.
No disrespect to the Emmonsfield folks out there. I know they're probably some good, decent folks out there raising cows and, making sure their kids grow up and, know how to take the hay to the barn. No disrespect to those good folks there.
Yeah.
But Emmonsfield was too small for her. Two Rivers was too small for her. She wanted to see the world and she wants to learn. And I actually think it's exciting to her just knowing that her story does not end there.
Yeah.
And she's fully embracing that.
Yeah. Okay. Any other thoughts on this chapter before we go on to the next one?
Yeah, from overall, it was one of those things where, man, I know there's only so much the show can show, but it would be cool even if we got to see Elyas just like tracking them through the forest, but you don't see who the guy is. You just see like, who is this guy who's looking at him or following him? Even if you don't fully show us the wolves, it would have been interesting just to see that.
Would have been nice to see. Yeah, that was one of the, like, again, I think it was because they were hiding this, but yeah, Elyas is a character that would have been nice to see. The next chapter is called The Flight Down the Arenal. Okay.
We also, real quick, can we get Hugh Jackman to be casted as Elyas? It's my vote.
Is your vote? All right. That's actually a really interesting casting call. I like that. That's yeah.
Who's already Wolverine. He has that grit to him. I want to see him.
He absolutely does. Okay, so the icon for the next chapter is the harp, this is the Tom icon. Rand has another super confusing dream. This one with mirrors and fire eyes, Balsamon. In the dream,
man.
Yeah. In the dream, Rand pricks his finger on a thorn, and Balsamon tells him again that the eye of the world won't serve him. There's a bunch of other stuff, and he wakes up. And his finger is bleeding from the thorn in the dream. He's on the ship, and Gelb, who's the guy that he landed on before, is trying to make trouble. But everyone is mad at Gelb, so for now it's okay. Tom is entertaining the crew and teaching Rand and Matt some skills. Rand watches the shore pass and notes some strange sights. The captain and him and Matt joins at some point, talk about some of the sights they see, and the captain gets all poetic about traveling and seeing strange sights around the world. A few days later finds Rand seated on the mast of the ship and acting foolish, and Tom comes to get him down. Rand descends with a flourish that makes everyone believe that he was practicing to be a gleeman. And as he's coming down, Rand finally sees Matt's dagger. And Matt explains how he got it. And then Rand asks him if he's had strange dreams, and Matt reveals that he has. Tom comes over and says that he managed to calm everyone down. And Rand looks up at the mast of the ship and is shocked to see that he was up there. And the Todd's drawing from this chapter is this here. So this would be them looking at some of the sights that they see. So that's the captain. There's
Rand's curly hair is funny.
It really is quite adorable. So, yeah. Okay.
This is a disappointing chapter to me. Just far as like some of the insight that I feel like it gave.
Right.
Because again, in our past discussions, I told you, well, in previous discussions we just had, I said, well, when they start switching character perspectives, it makes me a little bit nervous. And then they go straight back to Rand, and he has the dream in a mirror, and it's pretty much saying, you are this guy, I am you are the dark. And it's like, oh my goodness, man, hopefully he's not the villain, or he ends up not being able to run away from being the bad part as opposed to being the good part of himself. So that was a little bit like irritating. I'm gonna go back and forth. So that was a little irritating, just understanding that this is a possibility. Rand could end up being the bad guy, or being somebody that has to get put down because he's straight up Anakin, again, going back to the Anakin storyline. He becomes Anakin a little bit. The good part about the storyline is like this whole ship voyage, man, I would have loved to have seen that on the show.
Yeah.
I just would have really loved to seen that on the show. This is a whole storyline as well that we did not get to see this way. But yeah, what are some of your thoughts? You think this might have been a budget thing, why they couldn't show a lot of sea voyage type things, or what do you think? I
think it fully was budget. I mean, I don't know. I'm not in television, but I imagine ship stuff with, you got to have them on the water, and you have to build it. Like, I just imagine it costs a lot of money, and for a first season of a show that they're not sure, like, that's my guess. I am fully guessing.
I see.
I do like I love this. You know, I'm seeing in the comments that doobie doobie doo Bail Domon. Bail Domon is like a fan favorite, just partially because of the way he talks. Like fortune pricked me, I do be like it's hilarious. I love he's such a character that it would have been really nice to see him and see all of this. But
it would have been. And speaking of Thorn, I know you said the Thorn in a dream. Every time I thought of the Thorn in a dream and he woke up, it made me also think, well, there's about to be a thorn in your side with Brother Gil, because the animosity in that brother is building something serious.
Yeah,
they might have had to throw that brother off the ship, and I hate that Gil just seemed like he got the short end of the stick from day one when he got hit. You know what I'm saying? Brother Gil, man, I can just tell he just seems like he has, and it boils over on other episodes. He has this like deep anger.
Yeah.
Because of everything that has transpired and the outlook that everybody has against him now, and it's all geared towards Rand, Matt, and Tom.
Yeah.
And I just know he's going to end up doing something that's going to get them either caught, or that's what I was thinking in the moment, that he's going to do something that's not going to be good for them.
Yeah. I feel like this is getting real into the weeds and about Gil, but I feel like if he just like taken responsibility and been like, look, I'm sorry, I dozed off, it would have been better for him. But instead he was like, no, he lied. He refused to admit that he was asleep. And then he blamed Rand, and everybody knows that he's lying, so nobody trusts him. I think that's what's going on, but he doesn't want to.
So to your point, it's like you're almost like it's almost your fault, because it wouldn't have happened to you if you had a. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
Brother Gil is gonna fall on his own sword. It seems like.
I do, but you are right. Like I do feel, because he was just this like. He was asleep and someone landed on him like foot for I just can't even imagine. Like, that's the worst possible way to wake up. Someone just landing on you.
Unpopular opinion though. I think if Gil had not been landed on, the Trolloc who hopped aboard would have killed good Brother Gil.
Probably.
Unpopular opinion. Brother Gil was one of those brothers.
Yeah, very, very probably.
Brother Gil would have been a Trolloc snack.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? No bag included.
Yeah. Okay, Rand on the mast of the ship. Any thoughts on that? Did that?
Yeah, the out of body experience. Yeah, the out of body experience. This again, it's just getting weird to me. It's like, man, I know we're seeing your thoughts on things, and then we're seeing you do things that you don't even know that you knew how to do. I'm getting a little bit, I'm gonna just read about you and try to like you, but I'm gonna keep my distance. So if something too bad happens to you, I don't have to, shed a few tears and wipe dab a few eyes.
Yeah.
But that's my thoughts about him doing that, and then him also. Everybody was pretty much, I guess, scared for him or nervous for him, and him not even knowing that was the case. It was crazy. It was kind of weird. Yeah. It was definitely weird.
It's not until he's down on the ground and he looks up and he's like, "Why was I up there?"
Sees how high it is.
Yeah, and then of course when Rand is descending down the mast with his like flourish of a performer. He finally sees Matt's dagger.
Confirmed the suspicion I had. Obviously, I watched the show, so I'm thinking he stole something when they went to Shadow Lagarde. Is that am I saying it right?
There's two different ways to pronounce it. No, because I said no. I said that so forcefully. I say Shadar Logoth, but the show says Shadar Logoth, so it's like make up your mind. It doesn't matter.
Yes. So that place, I knew Matt had it. I was just waiting for it to reel his ugly head. And honestly, it's hard for me to kind of not be done with Matt right now, because it's like you keep doing foolish things, whether it's messing with the children of the light, the white cloak guys, doing dumb things like that, trying to steal, lying about different things, trying to play pranks. There's a funny side to it, and there's like okay, dude, like you're putting us in predicaments that could have serious repercussions right now. And Matt seems to just kind of like, oh, he's my friend, just wipes it off. And it's like, it's almost like as a third party, you can see the danger somebody's in by being around somebody, but because that person's friends with them, they're like, oh no, he's just innocent, having fun type of guy. It's like, no, that guy's gonna get you killed. He's gonna get you in a situation that's pretty bad.
That's where you're at now with him. Okay,
that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Hopefully he can come back, but
yeah, he is getting like he's becoming more suspicious and.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Do you think that that's just who he is, or do you think that that's something coming on, like that he's changing?
I don't know I don't know, because even before he took the dagger, he seemed a little money hungry to me. So even before he had the dagger, one of the reasons he wanted to take something from that is because he wanted some treasure.
Yeah.
And then when they're on the ship talking about whatever treasure or whatever case may be, he kind of pricks his ears up to that as well. It's like, so I don't know if that's just who he is, or if the dagger is feeding off of some of that greed as well.
Yeah.
But it's not a good look. I do think there's portions of him, but I don't know how strong it is yet. Obviously, I know how bad it gets with the dagger, but
It's sorry, I'm just having like a revelation as you're talking of one of the changes from the book to the show. Is like in the book we have no indication of whether or not Matt's family is poor or whatever, but the show very heavily leaned into he's poor. And this might be what you're saying might be why. Like this idea that he's really, really money hungry. They might have taken that and been like, well, why is he so money hungry? Maybe he grew up poor. That might
background,
be. Yeah, that might be why.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know.
That makes sense. And I think subliminally, or just in my head already, because I've seen the show, it's already like I have this idea about his backstory, which makes me think that he does really want money. Because in the show, it shows his mom, you know, being drunk and mad because the dad's over there messing with somebody, and then they go back to the kids. The kids look dirty and dusty in the house. You know what I'm saying? So it made me already think that he wants the money for a more admirable reason, but it's starting to have a dark effect on him. But when I read the book, it's more so like, dude, you're just being a clown right now. What are you doing?
How about like some of the stuff that Bail Domon says, like the captain of the ship says, that they see as they pass by? Did you have any thoughts on that, or I don't know, what did you think of the captain? Yeah.
I thought he was an interesting guy. I also think, I don't know if he was somewhat protective of Moiraine and Tom because of the crew's suspicion or growing suspicion, but he also starts telling stories. And then I also did notice that he did take their silver coins. And I wonder if this is going to impact how Moiraine tracks them, because she said she was be able to track them because of those coins.
Yeah.
So it made me wonder if that's going to put a wrench in the plans. But, and I'm sure you'll fill me in on more details here, but wasn't there some story he was telling about some tower that if anybody got like 100 feet or a mile, whatever close to it, would like kill them?
Yeah.
Or something would kill them. So that stood out to me quite a bit too, because I was wondering, because we had the session last time where you were paralleling some stuff to older times, and I was wondering if that was something that was like that as well.
Yeah, this one, I mean, there's some things in there that he describes that are plot relevant. Some things are I don't know what you want to call it, like just flavor for the world. And when I'm reading it, I do find myself like, what was Robert Jordan thinking? Because I don't know if you know about this. Robert Jordan had a degree in, what is it? Physics? Or he had like, the man was not like he was very educated, like nuclear physics or something like that. Like he knew stuff.
That's crazy.
About stuff that I do not understand. So yeah, I like when I'm reading that, like, what is it? Is this supposed to be a satellite? Is this supposed to be a nuclear like, I don't know. I don't actually, I don't know. This one I have not actually researched, so I don't really know. But
got you.
Yeah.
But it's funny because we're reading a story, and not only is the story enticing, but the story that characters in the story are telling are enticing as well.
Yes.
It's like a double layer of entertainment.
Yeah. The depth of things that to talk about in this world. I like, there's a part of my brain, I always say this, it's kind of there's a part of my brain that forgets that it's not real. So I was, I wish I want to read a book about that. This doesn't exist, Jenny. It doesn't exist.
Yeah. Hey, what they call these spin-off shows? You can do a spin-off show.
I would like that. I would absolutely like that. All right, before we go on to the next chapter, any further thoughts on this one?
No, but it was a little bit interesting how quick the captain was to potentially, whether it was just in front of the crew or for Matt and them sake, dismiss that the Trollocs were after them specifically and that they were just not after something else. His dismissal of that was a little bit like, dude, are you naive or are you trying to be protective? So that was interesting too. That was my only other thought in regards to that chapter. Because
he said something like, these Trollocs do be following me. So the Trollocs are following, like he thinks the Trollocs
are you a dark friend, brother?
Yeah, he thinks the Trollocs are following him. So I don't know. That's weird.
That must be that either that or he's super egotistical.
Yeah, man, that's true. That's true. That's true.
Charlotte's gonna waste their time chasing him.
Maybe. The coins. I did want to answer your question about the coins because Moiraine does say it. That she now, like, because they don't have their coins anymore, that's why she chose at this point to follow, I think, Perrin, because she can't track them at this point. And now that I'm thinking about it, if they'd split the party, I don't know that Nynaeve can track on water. Like, she would have just lost them at the river.
Hey, listen, after what I seen Nynaeve do on episode 4,
Yeah.
I'm not doubting anything that sister can do.
All
you
right.
know what I'm saying?
All right.
Nynaeve might. Hey, I'm just saying she got named the one for a reason. That's all I'm gonna say.
She absolutely did. Okay, so all right, let's move on to the next chapter here. The icon is the 3 leaves on a branch, and the chapter title is The Traveling People. Perrin, Egwene, Elyas, and the wolves travel together until they meet the Traveling People, otherwise known as the Tuathon. The Tuathon welcome them and ask them if they know the song, and Elyas says that they don't. And Elyas explains to Perrin and Egwene that the Tuathon are searching for a song that they say will bring back paradise. The leader's grandson, Aram, comes over to flirt with Egwene and explains the pacifist philosophy of the Tuathon. They do no violence. They believe violence harms both the victim and the perpetrator of violence. Elyas tells them to stop trying to convert them, and they say they don't. People just join them because they like what they hear. Then the leader of the Tuathon proceeds to tell a story he heard a few years back that he's trying to understand. A story about an Aiel woman who had been fighting Trollocs, and all but one of them had died. All but one of the Aiel had died. And she approached the wagons of the Tuathon, despite the fact that the Aiel despise the traveling people, to give them a message that the Dark One means to blind the eye of the world. And no one knows what this message means. Oh, yes, and let me get you the Todd's drawing.
This brother here, man. Brother Game, man. Brother Game.
Brother Game. Oh, I love it. Brother Game. Yes, yes. That is a good name for Aram. Oh, my gosh. That is such a good name for Aram.
Too smooth, for sure. Oh, man, I was thinking, they were going to walk up there, going to ask him for the song, and Perrin was going to say, Amazing Grace. I was like, oh, brother.
Nice,
Is that the song you were looking for? No, not that one. But, yeah, I remember they had the same situation in the show, and I thought Perrin and Egwene answered it with something, didn't they? Or didn't they answer? I thought they
in the show, Aram tells them how to respond because they don't have Elyas with them. Like in the book, Elyas knows how to respond, and Aram, like, they just stand there frozen because, like, these people have just come out of the mist in the show. Do you know the song? And they don't know how to respond. And Aram says, I forget the words, but Aram tells them the exact words to say to respond.
Yeah, and it made me think, well, do y'all just determine whether or not you're going to give people the cheat sheet based on whether or not you think they're going to be a detriment to your village or not?
Maybe,
how does this work?
Yeah.
How does this work?
Yeah.
But yeah, so meeting this group, it was, one, it killed my suspicions that the people were wolves. So it kind of killed that.
Yeah.
When I'm watching the show, I'm wondering, okay, can these people transform or not? Oh yeah, the way they just kind of get up and they're nomadic, like they can probably transform the world. So it killed all of that. So I got that question answered for the series. In regards to the show, it is apparent to me that Elyas has some type of history with these people. Even going into an interaction one time, and I forget if it's this chapter or another, where Aram was about, or the guy was about to say something to him, and he's like, and Elyas was like, shh, don't say that. And then they kind of cut it off. But these people are, it's interesting because they're known, or they have a reputation for stealing people's kids, I guess.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I guess nobody who's a thief will tell you that they're a thief. They'll just say, well, my mom's hungry, I got to feed my family. They're always painted in a way that makes them look the best, the best way. And although it doesn't sound like they're going to people's home and taking the kids out the cradle and putting them in the crown, but it's like we're going this way,
Yeah.
It's room aboard.
Yeah.
It's like, man, my son has to go to elementary school tomorrow. He has to finish his crayon drawing. What are you doing with little Timmy?
Yeah.
But they're an interesting group of folk. It's because it's almost hard not to like them because of some of their ideologies that they have. But I'm wondering what's the lines between manipulative and nice with these particular people. So yeah.
What did you? Okay, I'll ask you first before I say my thought. Like, what did you think about the way their philosophy was presented in the show versus the book?
it's definitely cool seeing Elyas be with them because he kind of voices some of his disdain that you kind of think in your head when it comes to violence specifically.
Right.
With them, just knowing what's going on in the world, in their world, not this one, in their world, the non-violence thing is a little bit interesting because it's almost like, so are you people telling me that if a Trolloc comes up and he's about to eat your child, that it's like, well, I hope that one of my child's bones doesn't choke him on the way down. That seems like something they would say.
Yeah.
But then again, with that same thing, the way he said that violence does more harm to the person who does it than the other, it had me kind of like, dang, that's deep. You know, so I'm like, goodness gracious, that's some deep stuff.
Yeah.
Especially talking about how to rust the axe and things of that nature.
Yeah. My thoughts on this one. In the book, I always found the Tuathon, they're nice. And like, I'm using that word very specifically. They're nice. Like, I didn't find them compelling. I found them, they're nice people. I hope they do well. Like, that was my thought. In the show, the way their philosophy is presented hit me. It felt like, this is worth it. Like, I see why you think it's worth dying for this philosophy. It felt way more deep in the show. And it might be because of the fact in the book that you have Elyas presenting opposing views that it maybe lessens the weight. But you also had that amazing speech.
What greater revenge against violence than peace? What greater revenge against death than life?
And to your point, that's even amplified by the fact that where things deviate, when they interact with the White Clothes, the way they link up together and let them smack them, your point is even more emphasizing that. Like, what hit me, it's like, what are y'all doing? If y'all don't run or fight or get out the way or whatever the case may be, we're not going to just be getting smacked around like this.
Yeah. How about Aram? Sorry. Thoughts on Aram? Brother Game, you called him.
It's interesting because in I feel like he was somewhat of a breath of fresh air for Egwene as they were out, or, a fun little adventure. But I was wondering, like, okay, how far are y'all gonna go with this? Or is it just like you seem like a cute person, you seem like a fun person. Yeah, but we can never be together because of our past. But the guy also seems petty. I'm gonna just be honest. He does seem a little bit petty. Just simply based on like how we see Perrin's perspective of how he looked at him like, you ain't getting her, I got her. And it's like, first of all, she came with me in the first place, brother. So I don't know what you think is going on, But at the same time, it's hard to decipher if Perrin has more of like a brotherly type love for her or if he will eventually like her, because he always is. The thing about him that is somewhat admirable is he's always thinking of Rand a lot of times when he's thinking of Egwene or when he's thinking about how to manage Egwene. So that makes me think that he's not trying to pursue her that way. Or it also makes me think of, well, I know she likes this type of guy, so do I have to be this type of way to get her attention?
I'm not going to say anything at this point, but I will say for myself, show versus book, Aram. In the book, I hate Aram. He walks in and you're he's just like, I'm going to get this girl. Look how pretty I am. Like, he's just, in the show, I was like.
It's like his intentions are written all on his face.
All on his face. And in the show, he just seems like a nice guy who, he might be trying to get her, but he doesn't feel like it's a game to him. He's just like, this is a nice girl, let me see. Whereas in the book, it does feel like, oh, here's a guy, I'm going to beat him. I'm going to beat him at getting this girl. Like, and the girl isn't a human. She's a prize to prove to, like.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
That's a fact. That's actually an interesting take, more so from the side of, like, I feel like the show is how women view Aram, but the book is more so how you should view him.
Maybe it could be.
Because like when a girl sees a fun guy, they think, oh, he's fun, he's harmless, I'm gonna have fun with him. But it's like, I think this guy's trying to go to second base with you a lot quicker than you know what I'm saying, than you want to, or not for the same reason that you think he wants to. So that's an interesting part of it. That is interesting.
Yeah, maybe like the book might be giving you a peek behind the curtain into who he is.
Because of course, to a girl who sees a guy like that, they'll think he's just a cute, fun guy.
Yeah, because I was shocked in the show. Like, it was a thing that I kept like, why do I like him? In the book, I hate him. I hate him so much. The show making me like people I hate. I don't like it. I don't like it. So okay, And then the last thing I want to talk about in this chapter, that story that the Aiel told. Were you able to decide, like, was any of that stand out to you?
The Aiel, refresh me a little bit about some of the details.
Okay, so the leader of the Tuatha tells the story that he's been trying to understand. So that's why he's telling it to Elyas. He's hoping Elyas will help him understand it. And he says that the Aiel approached the traveling people to give them this message. Yeah. And I'll tell you, like, the message, I'll just read it here. It says, Leaf Blighter means to blind the eye of the world.
Oh,
he means
yeah,
to slay the great serpent. Warn the people, Sightburner comes. Tell them to stand ready for he who comes with the dawn. And the leader of the Tuatha has no idea what this means. Any thoughts?
It made me think of Rand's mother a little bit, how they were talking about women and things like that who went on a fight and things of that nature.
Yeah.
But blind the eye of the world. And I know the book is titled Eye of the World, but it makes me think, like, what does that mean? What does that title mean?
Yeah.
What does that mean in the grand scheme of things? It gets used a lot, like, and then she also brings up, you know, blinding it and things of that nature. It just makes me more curious, if anything, about how the title of the book plays into the main narrative. So that's the only thing I can think of from that surface of things. And it's also interesting how, again, her dying words were to people that she didn't really care too much for. Yeah, one last thing about this, it makes me wonder, because we see Perrin's interaction in the show with the White Cloaks later on. It makes me wonder, is this interaction with these people pivotal in why Perrin is a little bit more reserved when it comes to violence moving forward? Because I wonder if, although he didn't remain with this group, if he did strongly adopt some of their philosophies about life.
Yeah.
That's what I'll say. That it made me in the book think about this more. Okay, is this why when, you know, XYZ happened in the future that he acted a little bit more reserved in those manners? So that's what it made me think.
Yeah.
Sightburner and Leaf Blighter, though. I won't forget those.
Oh, you jumping ahead to my quiz now. Don't worry, not.
Hey, I didn't say it. Still has to be asked.
It has to be asked. Has to be asked. Has to be asked. All right. I promise. I won't erase anything. Okay. All right. The next chapter is chapter 26. It's called White Bridge, and the icon is the harp here. Perrin, Matt, and Tom arrive at White Bridge, which has a pretty epic white bridge. The captain.
Did you mean Rand, Matt, and Tom?
Perrin. Oh yeah, I did. My gosh, my notes are wrong.
If Perrin came and I didn't know, I would have been mad.
Yeah,
I didn't see that one.
My notes are wrong. Sorry. All the boys get mixed up in my head. Okay, so I'll stop. Anyway, okay. The captain tries to get Tom to stay on because he's good for ship morale, and he actually gives them their money back and some extra, but not the coins that Moiraine gave them. Rand, Matt, and Tom, this time I got it right in my notes, make their way to an inn in the middle of town, and they try fishing for information from the innkeeper to see if the others have come through. The innkeeper tells them that the false dragon Logain has been captured and is being paraded about by the Aes Sedai, and many people are going to Caemlyn to see him. Rand asks specifically about the others from their party, and the innkeeper tells them that a crazy, skittish man was asking about the same people a few days ago, and also a Fade was asking. Tom tries to convince them to go to Ilion with the ship, but while he's trying to convince them, Gelb shows up and starts telling everyone in the bar about 3 dark friends on the ship. And Tom realizes that the ship won't be safe anymore. He divides up their coin, and Matt asks why he's helping, and this is when he tells the story of his nephew Owen, and then he goes and gets a disguise so they can leave. And as they are making their way through town, a Fade approaches them. Tom gives his harp and cloak to Rand and Matt and tells them to go to Caemlyn and find something called the Queen's Blessing, and then he runs at the Fade, and Rand and Matt run away. And this will be Todd's drawing for this is this epic incident, which looks adorable but was so heartbreaking. Yeah.
One of the things I was wondering is if Tom has more tour dates available, because I was wondering when he's going to come to Nashville. Because this guy right here, man, everybody wants a piece of Tom.
Yeah.
I mean, he needs to have his own little, like, I don't know. This man needs to have an Instagram page, flyer dates, all of that. We need to get him on Ticketmaster, the whole 9 yards. Yeah. This brother's a hot commodity. Medieval McJagger is. So touching on them leaving, it seemed like they had a good impression on the captain to where he would like to keep them a part of the group, whether it was for morale or whether it was for because he had a Gleeman on the ship, and I'm sure that'll make anybody's ship a better place to be 100%. When it comes to going to the bar, again, it was like, okay, with Gale, I knew it was coming. I knew at some point, I don't know. But it made me think, well, this isn't as bad as what I thought Gale was going to do. So is Gale going to come back to bite them a second or third time potentially?
Okay, yeah. You're looking into the future.
Brother, right. Because that was a slight one. But what surprises me the most is when I watched the series, the Fade, I think we only saw them interact with Matt and Perrin like that once. Yeah. And it was when Tom had a showdown with them, but in a different set of circumstances. They were on some little small farmhouse.
Yeah, that's right.
In this instance, in hearing the town people speak or the bar guy speak about Fades, it made me think, so like, is their disguise that good enough that they can just be going out in plain sight and people kind of see them, but they don't leave them, they leave them alone? Is their disguise that good?
They are described, like they look like humans, except that their skin is, this is descriptions, smooth as an egg. Which just sounds so gross.
Yeah.
And they have no eyes. And so I think if they just keep a cloak on and cover like the top of their head, and people just don't want to look at them, so they can sort of slide by if you don't look at them too close, maybe. But I just had to point this out because the comments are cracking me up. Here we got Medieval McJagger is just Tom's name now. And then someone says, Rapunzel says, needs an RJ spelling. And then we've got a couple of options here. McJag.
That's a good one, Kate. That's a good one.
Medieval McJag.
That's a good collab right there. The Nerdy Negro RJ collab.
Yes, exactly. Oh my gosh, Shanti, that's painful.
Funny.
This is Medieval McJag.
Oh my goodness. I don't know what's more impressive. The fact that y'all know him so much that y'all are able to come up with these spellings that good. The pronunciation seems very close.
Yes.
But going back to the bar scene and hearing Gale and them talk, and then also seeing the innkeeper's tone switch instantly after he gets the description. Because remember, he wanted Tom and them to stay for a while and was going to give them a discount on rooms and food. And then after they told him who we're looking for, it's like, yeah, brother, drink this wine and get on up out my bar.
Yeah, pretty much.
It was that quick.
Yeah.
But it was also alarming because we are seeing that not only the Fae was looking for him, and I think they said it was two individuals that had asked about.
A crazy, skittish man came around looking for them as well. Any thoughts on that?
Which made me wonder if that was Patton Fane again. But I don't know. He only seemed crazy and skittish with their interaction in the last city, not overall. Normally, he just seems like, I don't know, like sedity and focused and about his business. Well, crazy and skittish. Go ahead.
I do have to just give it a little bit because the description that they give of this man in this chapter, I picked out the crazy skittish, but they do say he's crazy and skittish one moment, and the next moment he's real demanding and like acts like he's better than everybody else. Then he gets crazy and skittish again.
Okay.
So he's whatever's going on with this person that who's asking around.
So if I had to vote today, then I would say Patton Fane. And then going from the show, obviously, spoiler alert to those who haven't seen episode 8 yet, but we see him with Fades and with Madro. So it wouldn't be weird to me if he did have them double back. All right, you go check in, and then I'm gonna go ask him too, and we're gonna see if there's any difference in the stories between a regular person and an egghead person. We'll see who they give more information to. We'll see how we get this thing bored. We'll see how we scramble this situation.
Egghead person.
I'm not gonna lie, I might be more inclined to tell the truth to an egghead brother than a normal brother.
I might be
just
too.
Depending on how they come at me.
Yeah, it's true. Before you were saying how Medieval McJagger needs like an Instagram, have you noticed this difference between the book and the show? In that the show, his social media is his cloak because the outside is super colorful, it has all these patches on it. Whereas in the show, he's got this cool corduroy jacket. The inside has the patches, so it's much more subtle. What do you think about that change?
I actually think maybe because it was so subtle that I didn't even think too much about it. But now it makes me want to go back and watch the show and then compare it a little bit more, especially after seeing the drawing that you showed me that the guy did. That was pretty interesting.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, it's like when you see people cosplaying as Tom, it like their cloaks they have all these colorful patch. I don't know. It's very very different. So he's like a walking poster for himself. Like
Interesting.
Yeah, that's what he is.
Yeah, he definitely is a hot commodity for sure.
Yeah.
The only thing he caught me off guard with in regards to this one is it was like he plays too much moment when they were on their. I don't know if you want to talk about the escape yet, but when they were escaping, he pulls up in the same outfit that they described that the Madral had on.
Yeah. Yes.
Seemingly, and it was like, what? And it was like, oh, it's Tom. It's like, all right, Tom. Next time, say what's up or hey or Blue 42 Downset Hut, the medieval Mick Jagger en route, something like that, some code name, brother. Don't pull up on me with the same outfit description that the Madral had on, please.
Yeah, exactly. And then the other thing in this chapter, you see Matt keeps grabbing his dagger. Anytime anybody bothers him, he just reaches for it. And
yeah.
We got some.
Was it this chapter? There was something that Tom was saying that he grabbed the daggers if he's going to come at Tom a certain way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just he's getting real. Matt's becoming a problem. He's becoming a bit of an issue.
Real tainted individual he is becoming.
Okay. Any other thoughts on this chapter before we move on to chapter 27?
I want to make sure this is the encounter that Tom has with.
Oh, of course, yes.
I'm about to say we're gonna miss.
No, we can't just jump over that. We cannot jump over that. So yeah, this is when he divides the coin. This is when he tells him about Owen. You
actually made me feel happy at first because I was like, maybe I just had a dream that it happened and it actually didn't happen. So Tom's actually in good condition. So you almost made me feel good at first, but House of Mon didn't appear in my dream, so I didn't have one of those. Because of this is like the third, maybe fourth interaction they have face to face with a Madral. I'm becoming less scared of them in regards to head-on battles with some of the main characters.
Yeah.
But as in the show, it's like, nah, this might be it. If you face them. And in regards to Tom's situation with the Madral, it still felt like, well, they left us on a cliffhanger the same way this chapter left us on a cliffhanger with his encounter with the Madral. But hopefully it's not it, because I will say, as much as I enjoyed Tom in the series, I think I'm enjoying him even more in the book.
Yeah.
I would say. I think I'm starting. I like all the backstory information and just hearing his thought process about things even more so in the book than in the show. So his character, he'd be a huge loss if he goes out.
What do you think? What do you
this.
think's happened with him? Like, do you think he's gone? Do you think he's coming back?
No, because I think he'll be. I don't think he'll die from this, just based off the statement that the young lady had. Was it Min that she told Ren early on about some things in the future with him juggling fire or something like that?
Okay,
so hopefully he lives to fulfill whatever that thing Min was telling Ren about. But so I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say he might be injured from this situation, but he's still good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I know. This is like one of those things I do remember from the first time. I felt so bad because it's because he feels guilty about his nephew, but this man threw himself at a fade to protect these boys, and he's known for
he's a real one.
Maybe a couple weeks. Like, it's just,
he's a real one. He's like an uncle to them. It's like uncle love.
Exactly. It fully is. Can't believe I almost skipped over that. What's wrong with me? Because I do love Tom. Like, he's a good man. Or he was a good man.
Okay,
anyway.
I'm glad. Whoa! What you mean was? Hold on, Jenny. You can't do that. You can't do that.
He's a good man. He's a good
goodness.
man. He's a good man. So,
Jenny, you can't do that.
I'm just saying.
Oh my goodness.
I'm just saying. All right.
Yeah, you might be hinting at something bad might have happened to him, like book 7 or 10, right? Not book 1. Oh man.
All right. Anyway,
I trusted you, Jenny.
I'm sorry. If he, like, we don't know. He threw himself at a fade. I'm telling you, my thoughts when I first read this was just, no, this man threw himself.
I know he threw himself at a fade, but the way you said that is indicating that he might have faded away in the process.
We'll see. All right. Any further thoughts on this before we move on to the next one?
No, just much respect for Tom
yeah.
in this moment. Just much respect for him.
Much respect for him.
And how he cares for the boys, and I look forward to seeing how he continues to mentor them moving forward.
Yeah, all right. Well, all right, that is it. That is the end of part 1 of episode 3. As I said, part 2 will be covered over on the Everyday Negroes channel, so just go check that out now. We finish up these chapters. We have some discussion afterwards. There's a quiz, and there's Adison's AI art, which you got to stick around to see because it's amazing. So yeah, head over there now and finish up the episode. And we'll see you next time.